What if I told you that one of the world's most trusted payment companies has been systematically stealing money from its users for years? That the same platform you use to buy things online regularly freezes accounts worth millions of dollars with no explanation? And that the company promising to protect your money has been caught lying to customers, ignoring fraud victims, and even attempting to fine people $2,500 for saying things they don't like? This isn't some conspiracy theory, this is PayPal in 2024. But here's what makes this story truly incredible. PayPal wasn't always the corporate villain it's become today. In fact, it started as one of the most inspiring startup stories ever told. A group of 20-somethings with zero banking experience who took on the entire financial system, and won. Their success was so explosive that the team behind PayPal became known as the PayPal Mafia, a network of billionaires who went on to create YouTube, LinkedIn, SpaceX, Tesla, and fund Facebook. These people literally shaped the internet as we know it. So how did a company that revolutionized online payments and launched the careers of tech's biggest names turn into one of the most hated companies on earth? How did PayPal go from promising to always be free, to charging outrageous fees, from protecting users, to actively scamming them? This is the complete, uncensored story of PayPal's rise and fall, and by the end, you'll understand why millions of people are desperately searching for alternatives to escape PayPal's stranglehold on their money. Our story begins in 1991, when 10-year-old Max Levchin's world was turned upside down. Living just 90 miles from Chernobyl when the nuclear plant exploded, his Jewish family faced an impossible choice in Soviet Russia: stay and risk everything, or abandon their homeland for the unknown. They chose America. Growing up as an immigrant in the 1990s, Max found refuge in something that would change his life forever: an early computer system. While other kids played outside, Max taught himself to code, becoming obsessed with the internet's potential to transform lives. By 1998, armed with money from selling computer programs he'd written in college, Max moved to Silicon Valley's epicenter, Palo Alto, California. The dot-com revolution was exploding, and Max was determined to build something that mattered. But fate intervened in the most unlikely way. Seeking relief from California's brutal heat, Max ducked into a random lecture hall for a nap in the air conditioning. Instead of sleeping, he found himself captivated by the speaker, Peter Thiel. Peter wasn't just another Silicon Valley wannabe. He was already successful as a startup founder, hedge fund manager, and tech investor. When Max cornered him after the lecture with his business ideas, Peter's eyes lit up. They arranged to meet for breakfast the very next morning. That breakfast changed everything. Max pitched his vision for the Palm Pilot, those primitive handheld devices that could store contacts and calendars. While it seems laughably basic now, Max saw untapped potential in creating security applications for these devices. Peter was convinced. He handed over $100,000 to fund Max's first company, FieldLink. But their security idea was a complete disaster. The mobile security market didn't exist yet, and Palm Pilot's parent company had already partnered with someone else. They were dead in the water. That's when they had the idea that would change the world. What if you could beam money between Palm Pilots using infrared ports? It sounded like science fiction, but they were convinced this was the future. They renamed their company Confinity, a blend of confidence and infinity, and their money-beaming app got a catchy new name that rolled off the tongue: PayPal. With Nokia Ventures investing $4.5 million in their wild idea, Peter knew they needed more than just money. They needed headlines. So instead of a boring wire transfer, they staged the most audacious publicity stunt Silicon Valley had ever seen. Picture this: Nokia would wirelessly beam their $4.5 million investment directly onto Peter's Palm Pilot, live in front of the press. It was the perfect demonstration of their technology's potential. There was just one problem: the infrared technology was completely unreliable. Days before the event, Max and his team pulled all-nighters, frantically debugging the code. If this payment failed on live television, their credibility would be destroyed before they'd even started. The entire future of digital payments hung on two buggy Palm Pilots successfully talking to each other. The press gathered, the cameras rolled, Nokia initiated the transfer, and it worked. The headlines were everything they'd hoped for. The future of money has arrived. Revolutionary payment technology changes everything. But not everyone was impressed. Sitting in his office across town, watching the news coverage, one man shook his head in disgust. "That's a dumb idea," he said. "They're doomed." That man was Elon Musk, and he was about to become their biggest threat. By 1999, Elon Musk was already rich. His first internet company, Zip2, had just sold for enough to net him $22 million at age 27. But Elon wasn't interested in retiring to a beach somewhere. He had a vision that made PayPal's money beaming look like child's play. Elon wanted to destroy the entire banking system. Having interned at a bank, Elon had witnessed firsthand how little banks seemed to care about innovation. They were stuck with expensive, outdated systems that made transactions painfully slow. Most people still relied on mailing checks, a system that belonged in the 1800s, not the internet age. So Elon decided to build something unprecedented, a digital superbank that would handle everything. Savings accounts, checking accounts, loans, insurance, mortgages, credit lines, mutual funds, stock trading, all in one platform, all connected to the internet. He called it X.com, representing his vision of a company that would do everything. Unlike most Silicon Valley entrepreneurs who relied on investors, Elon put most of his own Zip2 money into X.com. This wasn't just confidence, it was a statement. He was betting his entire fortune on this idea. But there was a massive problem. What Elon wanted to build was actually illegal. The Glass-Steagall Act banned combining retail banking with investment banking. Regulatory experts warned that Elon's vision would face insurmountable legal obstacles. Elon's response? We shouldn't be afraid to break a few eggs along the way. He fired executives who didn't believe in his vision and hired Bill Harris as CEO. Slowly, through partnerships with Barclays and community banks, X.com began to take shape. By November 1999, the website went live. And in the most incredible coincidence in Silicon Valley history, X.com rented office space at 394 University Avenue in Palo Alto, right next door to Confinity's PayPal team. Two companies, both trying to revolutionize payments, were literally neighbors. They saw each other in the parking lot, the bathrooms, the building entrance, and neither considered the other a real threat. That was about to change. While Elon was focused on building his digital banking empire, the PayPal team was facing a crisis. Their Palm Pilot money beaming system had one major flaw. What happened when someone forgot their device at home? As a backup plan, they quickly coded an email feature. Users could send payments to any email address, and the recipient would get instructions on how to claim their money. It was supposed to be a temporary safety net, nothing more. Within weeks, something shocking happened. Everyone was using the email feature instead of their Palm Pilots. This made perfect sense when they thought about it. Email was exploding. More Americans were sending emails than physical letters. Anyone could sign up with just an email address, no special device required. What they'd intended as a backup plan had become their main product. At the exact same time in the exact same building, Elon was discovering the exact same thing. Elon wasn't excited about email payments. It's trivial, he said. It's literally moving numbers in a database. It's super dumb. My kid made one and he's 12. But every time Elon talked about X.com's advanced financial services, people only seemed interested in the simple email payments feature. The part he considered easiest and least important was what everyone wanted. So by late 1999, these two completely different companies, in neighboring offices, with totally different visions, had accidentally stumbled into offering identical services, email payments. The stage was set for a war that would reshape the internet forever. Both companies understood a fundamental truth about Silicon Valley. Network effects rule everything. The bigger your network, the more valuable it becomes. Everyone wants to use the most popular platform because that's where they can connect with the most people. This meant only one company would survive. The battle strategy was simple, but insane. Pay people to use your service. PayPal offered $10 for signing up, plus $10 for each friend you referred. X.com responded with $20 per sign-up and $10 for referrals. As Elon later put it, it was a race to see who would run out of money last. Both companies' CFOs were horrified. Paying customers to join instead of customers paying them seemed like business suicide. But it worked. Both services exploded in popularity as people rushed to claim free money and refer their friends. It was viral marketing at its most effective. The real breakthrough came when they discovered an unexpected goldmine: eBay. By 2000, eBay was a billion-dollar company with tens of millions of users buying and selling everything imaginable. But eBay had a massive problem. They didn't have a built-in payment system. Buyers and sellers were stuck with cash, checks, money orders, and wire transfers, all slow, inconvenient, and risky. PayPal and X.com email payments were perfect for eBay transactions. Sellers could get paid instantly, buyers could pay securely, and both services were completely free to use. eBay users adopted both platforms organically, without any advertising. Once PayPal and X.com realized this goldmine, they went all in on eBay marketing. The competition intensified. PayPal created tools specifically for eBay sellers. X.com immediately copied them. When one company launched a new feature, the other would rush to match or exceed it within days. The rivalry became personal. The PayPal team brought out a cake with Die X.com written in frosting. Elon sent emails to his staff about the urgent need to kill PayPal. Both teams worked around the clock, literally sleeping under their desks. Everyone was exhausted but exhilarated. They were building the future of money. But beneath the excitement lurked a terrifying truth. Both companies were bleeding money at an unsustainable rate. Success was killing them. Every new user cost PayPal and X.com money. The sign-up bonuses, referral fees, and credit card processing charges meant that growth directly correlated with losses. PayPal was burning almost $100,000 every day. PayPal had promised users their service would remain free forever, betting they could eventually make money from premium business accounts. But that was a slow, long-term strategy, and they were running out of cash fast. X.com faced the same bleeding. Elon's strategy was to provide email payments at a loss while hoping users would adopt X.com's other financial services where they could charge profitable fees. But users weren't interested in these other features. They could get banking services from traditional banks they already trusted. Both companies were trapped. If PayPal started charging fees, users might flee to X.com. If X.com couldn't monetize its other services, email payments would bankrupt them. PayPal had a slight lead in users, but Peter and Max were terrified. They could see X.com catching up, and they knew Elon had more funding available. Desperate times called for desperate measures. One day, Peter Thiel walked next door to X.com's office for a secret meeting that would change everything. Elon was confident X.com would win the war. He had more money, better funding connections, and unlimited determination. In his mind, victory was inevitable. But X.com's CEO Bill Harris disagreed. He believed both companies were heading toward mutual destruction and the market was only big enough for one player. A merger wasn't just smart, it was the only way to survive. The meeting was tense from the start. Despite being neighbors, the two teams had never really talked. Now they were supposed to become partners? Elon's opening offer was insulting. X.com would acquire PayPal, and the PayPal team would receive just 8% of the combined company's value. Peter and Max stormed out immediately. But as PayPal continued burning cash and gaining users, X.com's offers kept improving. Eventually they reached 55% for X.com, 45% for PayPal. Just as they were about to shake hands, egos nearly destroyed everything. Elon commented that Max was getting a steal, implying the deal favored PayPal. Max was furious and walked out again, demanding a 50-50 split. Elon was ready to scrap the deal and continue their war to the death. That's when Bill Harris dropped his bombshell. If X.com didn't merge with PayPal, he would resign immediately. With X.com in the middle of a funding round, losing their CEO would be catastrophic. Elon felt cornered. In February 2000, the merger was announced. The company would be called X.com, but the payment service would keep the PayPal name that users loved. Elon became chairman, Bill remained CEO, Peter took over finance, and Max continued as CTO. The war was over, or so they thought. On paper, the merger looked brilliant. One unified company with no competition, millions of users, and $100 million in fresh funding just before the dot-com bubble burst. In reality, it was a disaster. The two companies had completely different systems, cultures, and technologies. X.com ran on Microsoft Windows, PayPal on Linux. They had duplicate roles, conflicting strategies, and employees who still saw each other as enemies rather than teammates. Customer service collapsed. PayPal was receiving thousands of calls daily that they simply couldn't handle. At one point, they literally unplugged the phone lines. This backfired spectacularly when one user, thinking PayPal was stealing his money, showed up at their office with a gun. Decision-making became painfully slow. Employees weren't sure who to report to. The company that had been nimble and fast-moving was now bureaucratic and confused. Worse, cracks were appearing in the leadership team. Peter wasn't happy with Bill's decisions as CEO. Bill wanted to end the referral bonuses and start charging fees, breaking PayPal's promise to always be free. He was also bringing in executives from traditional finance, the exact kind of people Elon wanted to disrupt. Peter resigned in protest. The shockwave rippled through the organization. If Peter, one of PayPal's co-founders, was jumping ship, what did that say about the merger's success? Elon and Max were equally frustrated with Bill's leadership. They felt he was moving too slowly, focusing too much on PayPal instead of Elon's broader X.com vision, and hiring the wrong people. But the final straw was Bill's ultimatum that had forced the merger in the first place. Elon had never forgiven that manipulation. A secret conspiracy was forming. Behind Bill's back, the rebels met in secret. Elon, Max, Peter, who returned specifically for this, and several other key executives reached the same conclusion. Bill had to go. Their plan was simple but ruthless. Present the board with an ultimatum. Remove Bill as CEO or they would all resign immediately. With Elon and Max holding board seats themselves, they only needed to convince a few other members. The coup was swift and decisive. In May 2000, Bill Harris was forced to step down. Peter returned as chairman and Elon claimed the CEO title he'd always wanted. The first internal war was over, but PayPal's problems were just beginning. With Bill gone and Elon in charge, you might expect the story to get smoother. Instead, it got much more chaotic. PayPal couldn't stay free forever. They were losing millions in credit card fees. So they introduced premium accounts with a 1.9% transaction fee in exchange for features like 24-hour customer service and automatic withdrawals. Within a week, over 9,000 users had upgraded. For the first time, PayPal was generating revenue instead of just burning cash. But a much bigger threat was emerging: eBay itself. By late 2000, half of all eBay listings preferred PayPal for payments. eBay suddenly realized they were missing out on massive revenue by not handling payments themselves. PayPal was essentially running the cash register in eBay's store. eBay already owned a payment system called BillPoint, but it was losing badly to PayPal. So eBay declared war. The battle was vicious. eBay restricted PayPal logo sizes in listings. PayPal created tools to help users work around the restrictions. eBay automatically enrolled auctions into BillPoint unless users found the hidden opt-out button. PayPal published eBay's customer service number encouraging users to complain directly. When eBay introduced Buy It Now buttons that defaulted to BillPoint, it looked like they might finally gain ground. BillPoint's market share jumped from 10% to 20%. But PayPal fought back with tools that auto-selected PayPal on payment pages and cashback offers for sellers who used PayPal exclusively. Despite all of eBay's tactics, PayPal continued dominating. By 2001, 70% of eBay sellers used PayPal versus just 25% for eBay's own service. eBay had to admit defeat. They couldn't innovate as quickly as a company whose entire focus was payments. Elon had won another war, but his biggest battle was about to begin, with his own team. PayPal's rapid growth strategy had a dark side that was about to explode into view. By making it extremely easy to join and offering generous bonuses, they'd attracted more than just legitimate users. The fraud was staggering. People were signing up with names like Mickey Mouse and somehow getting access to credit lines. Fraudsters had written code to automatically create thousands of accounts to claim sign-up bonuses repeatedly. One PayPal employee admitted, "We would be issuing lines of credit to people that either weren't real people or had stolen someone else's identity." Shell companies and stolen credit cards were being used to funnel money around the world. PayPal was gaining a reputation as a tool for criminals. The company was losing millions to fraud while Elon and Max argued constantly about solutions. Max wanted to focus on fixing the fraud problem. Elon was obsessed with his original vision of a digital superbank. This led to Elon's most controversial decision, creating PayPal 2.0. Elon ordered his engineering team to stop working on the current PayPal website and start building an entirely new platform that would offer all kinds of financial services, essentially resurrecting his X.com vision. The team was furious. While they were rebuilding everything from scratch, their competitors could be gaining ground, and their fraud problems were getting worse. The tension exploded over a seemingly simple technical decision. Should they use Microsoft Windows, which X.com had used, or Linux, which PayPal used? Elon reportedly suggested settling this with an arm wrestling contest. When Elon got his way and forced the team to rewrite everything for Windows, morale collapsed. Months of engineering time were wasted on platform migration instead of new features and fraud prevention. But Elon's most devastating decision was yet to come. Despite all the internal turmoil, there was one thing everyone agreed on: the PayPal brand was incredibly valuable. Users loved it, recognized it, and trusted it. So when Elon announced he was killing the PayPal name, the reaction was explosive. Elon wanted to rename everything X-PayPal because he believed PayPal was just one service under the broader X.com umbrella. He ordered all PayPal references removed from the website and redirected PayPal.com to X.com. The team revolted. Some employees outright refused to implement the changes, saying they'd rather be fired than destroy their own brand. Peter and Max opposed the decision publicly, arguing that PayPal had built customer loyalty that X.com couldn't match. Elon even replaced PayPal merchandise around the office with X Rocks t-shirts and mugs. This was the final straw for many employees. The PayPal brand represented everything they'd built together: their identity, their success, their future. Watching Elon casually destroy it felt like betrayal. Max Levchin, Peter Thiel, Reid Hoffman, and several other key executives reached a shocking conclusion. Elon Musk had to be removed as CEO. The second coup was about to begin. Unlike the first coup against Bill Harris, removing Elon would be much harder. He was X.com's original founder and largest shareholder. He had real power and loyal supporters. But the rebels had a plan, and they knew the perfect moment to execute it. Elon had planned a honeymoon vacation with his wife Justine in September 2000. While he was unreachable on his flight, the conspirators struck. They presented the board with a vote of no confidence document signed by key employees who threatened to resign if Elon wasn't removed. Since the board hadn't been informed about many of Elon's controversial changes, they were shocked to learn about the internal chaos. When Elon's plane landed and he heard about the mutiny, he rushed back immediately. But it was too late. The board had already decided. Just like at his previous company Zip2, Elon was being forced out of a company he'd built with his own money and relentless effort. Elon was devastated. "This whole thing is making me so sad that words fail me," he said. "I have given every last ounce of effort, almost all my cash from Zip2, and put my marriage on the rocks, and yet I stand accused of bad deeds to which I have not even been given an opportunity to respond." 2 days later, Elon was officially fired. Peter Thiel became the new CEO. Peter immediately reversed all of Elon's controversial decisions. PayPal 2.0 was scrapped. The PayPal brand was restored. The X.com financial services vision was shelved indefinitely, but the company was more fractured than ever. While some celebrated Elon's removal, others felt it was completely unfair, especially the underhanded way it had been done. PayPal had survived another civil war, but the scars ran deep. Under Peter's leadership, PayPal finally began solving its biggest problems. Max Levchin took the fraud crisis as a personal challenge. His greatest adversary was an anonymous hacker who called himself Igor. No matter how many fake accounts Max shut down, Igor kept creating new ones. Igor even taunted Max via email, saying he'd never be stopped. But fighting Igor taught Max to recognize patterns in criminal behavior. He realized that legitimate users behaved predictably. They sent money in normal amounts at reasonable intervals. Fraudulent accounts stood out like sore thumbs. Max created algorithms that analyzed hundreds of variables to detect suspicious activity automatically. These systems became incredibly sophisticated, essentially turning PayPal into one of the first big data security companies. Max also solved the bot account problem with an ingenious invention, a sign-up page that showed distorted letters and numbers that humans could read but computers couldn't. This became the first popular CAPTCHA system and spread across the internet. These innovations gave PayPal a massive competitive advantage. Fraudsters moved on to attack PayPal's competitors instead, but the biggest challenge remained: actually making money. PayPal had always promised to be completely free. This promise had helped them gain millions of users and destroy their competition, but it was also killing them financially. The company couldn't survive on optional premium subscriptions alone. They needed to force users to pay transaction fees. Some employees called this the FU, short for forced upgrade, but also representing how users would feel about the broken promise. When PayPal announced that basic users would now pay fees, the backlash was immediate and furious. "They got us hooked and then started charging," one user wrote. "To think I helped promote you, build you up, and then you do this to us? You should be ashamed." But PayPal had successfully eliminated most of their competition by initially offering free service. Users were angry, but they didn't have many alternatives. It was a classic bait and switch: offer something amazing to gain market share, then change the terms once customers have no choice. This broken promise was a warning sign of the much shadier tactics PayPal would employ in the future. By 2001, PayPal was finally profitable with over 12 million users and $103 million in revenue. After surviving mergers, coups, fraud attacks, and competitive wars, they were ready for their ultimate goal, going public. But the road to IPO was rocky. Multiple companies filed patent lawsuits designed to disrupt the offering. The day before going public, Louisiana's Attorney General claimed PayPal didn't have proper banking rights and threatened to block them statewide. The SEC accused PayPal of violating quiet period rules. Newspapers ran negative stories. As the first company to announce an IPO after 9/11, during the dot-com crash aftermath, investor confidence was shaky. But on February 15, 2002, PayPal completed their IPO at $13 per share. By day's end, they'd closed above $20, making PayPal officially worth over $1 billion. Champagne flowed in the Palo Alto offices, music played, people danced on desks. After years of chaos, PayPal had conquered the world. Nobody knew that in just 2 months, their world would be turned upside down again. By April 2002, rumors were spreading. Peter had been secretly meeting with eBay executives. The irony was perfect. After years of brutal competition, after PayPal had won the payment wars decisively, eBay had decided the simplest solution was to just buy their conqueror. With 75% of eBay auctions accepting PayPal versus only 27% for eBay's own service, acquisition made more sense than continued competition. On July 8, 2002, eBay announced they would acquire PayPal for $1.5 billion in eBay stock. The PayPal offices were filled with mixed emotions. Relief that they'd no longer face the constant threat of being banned from eBay. Shock at the massive valuation. But also sadness. This marked the end of the startup dream. Joining eBay meant corporate rules, bureaucracy, and structured protocols. The wild, exciting world of startup innovation was over. Peter Thiel announced his resignation as CEO. Max Levchin followed. One by one, almost all the original team members left to start new companies rather than become corporate employees. The entrepreneurial spirit that had built PayPal was incompatible with eBay's traditional business culture. What happened next became Silicon Valley legend. PayPal's alumni didn't just fade away, they went on to create or fund the biggest companies in tech history. Steve Chen, Jawed Karim, and Chad Hurley founded YouTube. Reid Hoffman created LinkedIn. Peter Thiel became Facebook's first major investor. Russell Simmons and Jeremy Stoppelman built Yelp. And Elon Musk, he founded SpaceX to colonize Mars and Tesla to accelerate sustainable transport. He funded OpenAI and eventually bought Twitter, finally giving him a reason to resurrect the X.com domain name he'd never forgotten. Fortune magazine dubbed them the PayPal Mafia in 2007, recognizing how this small group of former colleagues had influenced almost every major Silicon Valley company. In a touching twist, when SpaceX was nearly bankrupt in its early days, it was Peter Thiel's investment firm that helped save Elon's rocket company. Despite everything that had happened, the PayPal Mafia stuck together. Meanwhile, PayPal itself continued growing under eBay's ownership, reaching 100 million users by 2011 and processing over $315 million daily. In 2015, PayPal became so much bigger than eBay that they split into separate companies again. By 2024, PayPal was worth over $70 billion, more than triple eBay's value. But there's a dark side to this success story that we need to talk about. Somewhere along the way, PayPal lost its soul. The company that had promised to revolutionize payments and always be free had become exactly what it originally opposed: a greedy, customer-hostile corporation that prioritizes profits over people. Don't take my word for it. Look at PayPal's reviews on Trustpilot. 1.3 stars out of 5 from over 30,000 reviews. Search PayPal horror stories on Reddit or YouTube, and you'll find thousands of people sharing nightmare experiences. The most common complaint? PayPal regularly freezes accounts for no reason, holds people's money for up to 180 days with no explanation, and provides terrible customer service when people try to get help. I've read stories of small business owners whose entire companies collapsed because PayPal suddenly seized their funds without warning. People treated like criminals when they'd done nothing wrong. Customers who'd used PayPal successfully for years only to have their accounts frozen with thousands of dollars trapped inside. The fees have also exploded. Remember, PayPal gained market share by repeatedly promising free transactions forever. Now their fees are often higher than traditional banks. Many countries offer instant, fee-free transfers through their banking systems, making PayPal's high fees completely unnecessary. PayPal's stock price has fallen dramatically as users abandon the platform, But the fraud protection that PayPal claims to offer? That seems to be broken too. You'll find endless stories of people getting scammed while using PayPal, with PayPal consistently siding with the scammers. As long as PayPal gets their fee from the transaction, they seem not to care who gets hurt. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has accused PayPal of numerous illegal practices, signing people up for credit accounts without permission, lying about promotions, and ignoring customer disputes. Just when you thought PayPal couldn't get worse, they crossed a line that shocked even their critics. In 2022, PayPal updated their user agreement to include a stunning new provision. They could fine users $2,500 for posting misinformation. Think about how insane this is. A payment company deciding they have the right to monitor your speech, determine what's true or false, and steal your money if they disagree with something you say. Even a former PayPal president called it insanity and said it went against everything he believed in. Elon Musk, despite his complicated history with the company, also condemned the policy. After massive backlash, PayPal claimed the policy was inserted by mistake. But many users noticed that certain violation penalties remained in the fine print. Given PayPal's long history of broken promises, it's impossible to trust their word on anything. This is why I personally recommend keeping minimal money in PayPal accounts and exploring alternatives like Stripe for businesses or Wise for international transfers. PayPal's stranglehold on online payments is finally weakening as better options emerge. Competition might force them to remember what made them successful in the first place, serving customers instead of exploiting them. The PayPal story is ultimately a tale of two companies. The first PayPal was revolutionary, founded by young immigrants and entrepreneurs who saw a broken financial system and decided to fix it. They took on established banks with nothing but determination, survived brutal competition, and created innovations that changed the world forever. That PayPal democratized online payments, made e-commerce possible for millions of small businesses, and launched the careers of people who built YouTube, LinkedIn, SpaceX, Tesla, and Facebook. But the second PayPal became everything the founders had originally opposed. A corporate behemoth that exploits customers, breaks promises, charges excessive fees, and attempts to control what people can say or think. The transformation didn't happen overnight. It was gradual, subtle, perhaps inevitable, as the company grew from startup to corporation to monopoly. But understanding PayPal's history helps us recognize a crucial pattern in the tech industry. Companies often start as rebels fighting against established powers, only to become the very thing they once fought against.